We now have the latest on breaking news in Hampton, an armed robbery and bomb threat at a supermarket in the New Market Square shopping center just off Mercury Boulevard and Jefferson Avenue.
The scene first happened at about 7:22 this morning. We want to go right to our Melanie Woodrow. She is live in the New Market Square shopping center off Mercury Boulevard. Melanie, what can you tell us?
Well, Carrie and Don, the most important things to tell you are that these two suspects are still on the loose and that one individual who was here has now been taken to a local hospital after being shot in the leg. That was a beer vendor. Let me walk you through what happened. A very complicated, scary morning here at this Food Line. It was about 7:20, 7:30, like you said, when police are saying that two suspects walked through that front door that you see there. The supermarket was already open. They went right to the front register area, apparently dressed like FBI agents, or at least claiming to be FBI agents. They began demanding money, and at some point they also strapped what we now know were two makeshift bombs onto some employees' chests. Actually, police not even saying whether or not they were strapped or just placed on the chests of those employees. They then, of course, began demanding money. Now, there was a beer vendor who was in the Food Line, in addition to a small handful of customers and the employees at this Food Line. That beer vendor took action. He began struggling with these two suspects. At one point, one of the suspects shot him in the leg after that beer vendor used some object to stab one of the other suspects. Police are not saying what that object was. Now, all of this sounds like it was going on for quite some time, but police are telling me that this all went down in about a minute and a half or less. You can see over there, just outside of the Food Line, a group of employees. We've tried talking to these employees, but they've been instructed not to speak to the media. Of course, they are extremely shaken up. Two of those employees did have what we now know were fake bombs put on their chest. Now, when the bomb squad got here, of course, they didn't know what they were dealing with, and they basically had to x-ray those bombs, determine whether or not it was safe to leave them on the employees or was going to be safer to take them off. Of course, once they realized they were not real bombs, they did, in fact, take them off. The employees are now outside. Police are out here, of course, questioning everyone. I'm told that the 6 customers that were in the store were not injured. Of course, police are also talking to the other neighboring businesses. If we move around here, you can see this shopping center's got quite a few cars here this morning already. So clearly there are some employees, some businesses here that may have seen these two suspects get away. Police tell me at this point they are not sure whether or not they got into a vehicle or how they got away. But in order to start looking for them, of course, they're going to have to figure out whether or not they did get into a vehicle. Now, the good news in all of this is that there are some pictures, some surveillance video from inside the store. Police are telling me they're going to be releasing that really soon. So we're going to have a sense of what these two suspects looked like. We'll be able to share that with you. So, of course, if you've seen anything, you'll be able to get in touch with police. We're also going to get a look at those x-rays that the bomb squad did to x-ray what we now know were some fake bombs. In the meantime, I do want to share these suspect descriptions with you. They're a little bit vague, but we always like to help police out, especially in this case when they are still looking for these two suspects. So here we know that one of the men was wearing a black hat, a black jacket, black pants, black shoes, a handgun, and had a badge on his belt, some type of fake FBI badge. The other individual was wearing a knit cap, a black jacket, black shoes, and carrying a clipboard, also wearing a shirt with FBI on the front. Police are saying that this was a very unusual robbery for a number of reasons. Of course, this being a supermarket, it being light out early this morning, and just the entire scenario. They say this is something that they have not dealt with before. In terms of other people in this area, whether or not they are at risk, police, again, really don't know what they're dealing with. They don't know if these suspects might be moving on to some other business right now. But again, they're going to share those pictures with us very soon here. We'll be able to share them with you, and then we'll have a better sense of exactly who police are looking for. Carrie and Don?
Hey, Melanie, do we know anything more about the devices that were placed on the employees at that time?
No, you know, I tried to ask them. I was especially curious whether or not they might have had some type of timer on them, because you hear that they're going to be x-raying these devices, and my first thought was, if I was that employee, I would want that thing off of me immediately. But police said they're very limited in what they can tell us about the devices, and they said that's because the device itself could be used to identify whoever was responsible for making it or putting it on these employees. And so in that sense, they don't want to do anything to disrupt their investigation. They said that those details, the details you and I and probably our viewers are wondering about, could potentially be identifying details for whoever made that device or was here this morning.
All right, so they're walking that fine line of wanting to get the important information out to the public, but also preserve the integrity of their investigation for later criminal processes. Thank you very much, Melanie Woodrow. People will talk about this in terms of what happened at this Food Lion this morning, but it is still an active scene. Maybe the incident there is a past tense incident, but the active search for these two suspects continues, and folks want people to be vigilant in that area about keeping their doors locked, and also keeping in mind one of the suspects likely needs medical treatment. Again, as you heard in Melanie's report, and as we heard earlier from Corporal Price of the Hampton Police Department, a beer vendor was able to stab one of those suspects, we're told, in the torso. That could be a very serious injury there. Again, two men dressed head to toe in black, wearing FBI shirts. One had a clipboard at the time that they entered the supermarket, and it's not clear whether they got away on foot or in a vehicle.
And we know one of them is injured, and we know at least one, maybe both, are armed and dangerous. The last we heard was that they were headed towards Big Bethel Road. We don't know if they were on foot or in some kind of a vehicle or something, but be aware of two guys dressed that way in all black, and one who may be suffering a knife wound to the chest.
All right, we have many ways to keep you updated. We'll continue to break into programming as necessary. We're also putting the very latest at wavy.com, and of course a full report coming up on Wavy News 10 midday.